Hey guys, Cadin here. It's my first video in the style of gameplay commentary, so let me know what you guys think. It's also my first scripted video. Yes, that part was scripted. And that part. And that part. And that part. And that. Anyway, this video I want to talk about the new season of Fortnite. Epic made a lot of changes this season. Some highly controversial, some really good, and some downright terrible to say the least. So without further ado, let's get into it. Also, if you want to use my creator code, it's code Cadin-M. Thanks. So basically, this season is a war theme. Totally fitting with what's going on in the world right now, but hey, at least Epic is donating money or something. Anyways, the imagined organization has disabled the ability to build for apparently the first week of the season. Yeah, that's right. A game where the main selling point is building, vaulted building. And to be honest, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Also, building is still a thing in Arena, so that's why you haven't seen any of the pros crying or whining about this change. To compensate for no builds, Epic added parkour mechanics to the game, which I honestly never thought that Epic would add movement mechanics to Fortnite, but hey, we're coming more and more towards Titanfall, I guess. All they need to do is add brutes. Please don't, actually. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Fuck! You can now press your sprint button while running to engage a tactical sprint, which disables your weapons and makes you run faster and jump higher. There is a stamina bar, so you can't sprint forever, and I think it lasts for about 5 seconds. You can also now vault over walls if you can't quite make a jump. Additionally, you have an overshield that charges over time up to a maximum of 50. I don't know if this is permanent, but it's here at least until building is back. In terms of the map, there are territories outlined to show who controls what zones. Red is the IO, blue is the 7. Currently, the IO somehow controls over 80% of the map, which I don't know how that happened. The 7 literally had control of the entire map last season, but hey, I guess the imagined organization really just putting in work and or hours. I hate myself for that joke. Over time, however, the 7 will gain more ground, and I'm assuming they're going to push the IO into the cavern. In the zones that the IO controls, there are blimps surveying most of the POIs, and tanks, some of them controlled by AI. Oh, and there's also a ton of IO guards. Covert Cavern has had its name changed to Command Cavern, and there is now another mythic boss alongside Gunner, who drops a mythic thermal rifle. There is also a new POI called the Fortress, which is a massive drill where you can find Sloane. She drops the 3rd version of the Mythic AUG, and yes, it is still nutty. There's not much in the 7 zones, but there are funding stations at their 2 main bases. And yes, I do mean 2. There is a new POI called Synapse Station in the desert biome where the scientist will spawn. And I think you can buy the boom sniper from him. I haven't checked recently, but he's there if you want to talk to him. There's one funding station where you can fund an armored battle bus that you'll be able to drive around soon this season, or there's another one where you can vote for what kind of turret you want to set up. One of them is like a regular mounted turret, and the other is apparently an anti-vehicle cannon. So that'll be interesting if any of those get put up. Speaking of funding stations, in the future you'll be able to vote for items to return, similar to Chapter 2 Season 8. 3 rounds have been leaked so far. Round 1 is the Mark 7 vs. Combat AR. I think we all know what's going to win that. Round 2 is the Shield Bubble versus Balloons, and Round 3 is the Rift to Go versus Boogie Bomb. Also, I've seen that you might be able to fund the helicopters in the future, but I'm not 100% certain on that right now. This season has had quite a few shakeups in the weapon meta. First off, let's talk about what's been vaulted. Mark 7, Guzzle Juice, and the Heavy Shotgun are gone, so we're basically back to not having a shotgun meta anymore. Except we did see a shotgun unvaulted this season, and spoiler alert, it's not the pump, but a new version of the pump got leaked, and it's supposed to come later this season, so stay tuned for that video. I'm rather excited for it, honestly. In terms of unvaults, we have the Thermal AR, Drum Shotgun, Revolver, C4, Thermal Revolver, Storm Scout Sniper, and Shockwaves. The Thermal and Drum saw some reworks this season that actually make them viable. The Drum was already viable, I'm mainly talking about the Thermal. So basically, the Thermal has a new, and in my opinion, better looking scope, a blue rarity, a fire rate buff from 1.8 to 4, a damage nerf from 36 and 37 to 29 and 31, and apparently a recoil increase. I haven't really noticed that, but you guys tell me if you notice it or not. Think of it now as a weaker infantry rifle with a scope and more bullets. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it still has a 2x headshot multiplier and no damage fall off, so basically it's going to be the best AR at range for this season. Now for the drum shotgun, it saw a fire rate nerf from 4 to 3, a damage buff from 45, 47, 50 to 57, 60, 63, a spread reduction, better damage ranges. It basically got an effective range increase from 5 meters to 7.5 meters, and it now has a purple and gold rarity, and if you were wondering, they are very strong. Basically, there's no reason to use any other shotgun besides this absolute beast. And speaking of beasts, it's time to talk about some of the new weapons that got added this season. There's a new AR called the Striker Burst Rifle, and it's basically a rehashed AUG with lower damage, those being 28, 29, 31, 33, and 34. Slightly lower fire rate from 3.95 to 3.86, increased recoil, and an ACOG sight. That's right, they're still keeping first-person sights. And I'm really happy about that, honestly. As of right now, I don't really know what the AR meta is, but one thing is certain. The Ranger is still shit. Then there's the Combat SMG, which I'm not going to talk about right now. That has its own segment. On the vehicles, there's some interesting stuff to talk about. First off, we have a new car mod called the Cowcatcher, and its main use is to throw it on a car, and it allows you to ram through structures easily, and maybe do more damage to players. I haven't exactly checked that out. Also, side note, you can use this in tandem with off-road tires, and it basically makes your car into a fucking beast. However, they can also be used as deployable cover. When you throw it down on the floor, it creates a shield that stands up to your character's chest, and it's pretty beefy, having like 800 health. In the current state of pubs where you can't build, this thing will be your best friend. Another vehicle-related item that was added this season is called the Repair Torch. As the name implies, it repairs vehicles. With this, the ability to heal vehicles with campfires has been removed. And it doesn't just repair vehicles, it will also repair any structures made out of metal. But trying to use this on other materials will not have the same effect. It will damage brick buildings and it will set wood on fire, so don't try it. If you were wondering, it also does damage to players. It does 8 damage with 5 ticks a second, so that's 40 DPS. I challenge one of you to try to get a kill with the fucking blowtorch, and you have to be using the blowtorch only. If you do actually do this, I will legitimately gift you the battle pass. That's not a joke. The first person to send it to me. Now on to probably the most major addition of this season, the tanks. They have 2,500 health and 4 seats, 1 driver, 1 gunner, and 2 passengers. The driver has access to movement controls and a mortar launcher. The mortar does 120 damage for a direct hit and 35 to 70 splash damage, depending on how far away the target is. And side note, this is also the first time that Epic has added an explosive with damage depending on radius. I honestly never thought this day would come, but here we are. The driver is protected from fire by a box that has 50 health. Once destroyed, the driver is exposed and can be damaged. It does come back after some time, but I'm not sure how much time. Probably like 30 seconds to a minute. The gunner has control of a turret on top of the tank. Think of the mounted turret, but dealing 35 damage and overheating, like, much quicker. It's hard to hit them when they're looking at you, but their back is completely exposed. The 2 passengers don't get anything, just a ride. Tanks aren't completely invincible, however. You can shoot their treads out to hinder their movement, or shoot the engine on the back to completely disable the tank for a short while, and this includes the weapons that are on the tank. If your treads are shot out, you can hop out of the tank and repair them, but not with the torch. You have to do it manually yourself. This process takes about 5 seconds, and you'll be exposed while doing it, so be cautious. Well, it's time to talk about this otherworldly abomination. Actually, I'm not going to talk about it. Cadin from the firing range is. Alright guys, so I'm in my firing range right now, and we're here to show off this absolute hell spawn of a weapon, the Combat SMG. So I guess first things first, let's do a stat comparison. I'm not using the regular Stinger, just to show the absolute craziness that is this fucking weapon. So let's take a look at the stats of the regular Stinger, or I mean the mythic one. 22 damage, 12 fire rate, 30 mag, and 2 reload. Sounds pretty overpowered, as you might expect from a mythic weapon. Let's move on. a direct upgrade in every single way, except for Lobo, who really gives a shit. I mean, does Epic not see a problem with this? But maybe you're thinking that there's maybe some other things that the Stinger has that are better than the Combat SMG. No. No, it doesn't have anything better. It might have better starting accuracy, but, you know, I'm going to go ahead and show that off. It has better starting accuracy, but as soon as you aim down sights, you notice this has first shot accuracy for some fucking reason, and this doesn't. But maybe you're thinking, maybe it has better spread over time. Well, let's show that. As you can see, it keeps exponentially growing for the entirety of the mag, and then it just stays the fucking same. Now, maybe, I'm not even gonna bullshit you. This thing does 33 headshot damage, and this does 48. This thing fucking, oh my god. There is no reason to use this at all. If you have, like, even a blue, hell, a green combat SMG, there is absolutely no reason you should be running this at all. Unless you suck ass at hitting headshots, but that's neither here nor there. But maybe, the combat SMG, the description, difficult to master but exceptionally strong. Maybe that means it has more recoil. No! No, not at all! Like, I don't know what Epic was thinking, not changing this from how they initially put it in the game. If you didn't know, the stats for this got leaked in Chapter 2, Season 8. I knew it was busted. I am so glad that people voted in the Combat AR instead of this fucking thing. But now, it's in the game. Completely unchanged from how it used to be. I don't know where Epic's thought process is, thinking that this is a good idea, but it's not. This is the worst weapon ever. I don't mean that literally, I mean that meta-wise. Just, fuck, look at this. This is with me, like, trying to control the recoil. It doesn't fucking move. And I'm a controller player. If I can control it this easily, imagine keyboard and mouse players. Like, Jesus fuck. You know, I'm done. Get me out of here. A couple things I forgot to mention is that this has the same range stats as the Stinger, that being an effective range of 40 meters and a 2x headshot multi. I have no idea what was going through Epic's heads. Everyone complained last season about how potent the spray metal was, and what do? Add another SMG that's just the Stinger on black tar heroin. Then they don't want to do anything about the shotguns that are absolutely fucking abysmal. They are catering to casual players with these broken-ass weapons, and I'm not okay with that. You should not be either. So, after that heated segment, what are my overall thoughts on this season? Well, so far I'm having fun. Not being able to build makes the game feel fresh, and if I really do want to build, I can just go play Arena. Also, once building gets reintroduced, no building will become its own game mode, so all the super casuals can stay there. And apparently it might be permanent, but all I know is that it's at least staying for the rest of this season. Meta changes have been pretty interesting to say the least. I just hope they nerf the combat SMG into the fucking ground as soon as possible. But aside from that, everything they've done with this season has been really cool, and I'm excited to see what's next in the goddamn war. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. See ya.